when I first heard PCOS, I didn't hear it at the age of 13 like you. Probably I heard it at the age of 30. And that is when I understood probably I am going through it. But my gynec was not able to diagnose, and I went to an allopathy, of course. So I want to ask you this question. Homeopathy is 250 years old. I read it from your post, you know. So is it older than allopathy, or allopathy is born from homeopathy?
Allopathy is a term coined by the founder of homeopathy himself. Right? So,
Yeah.
and actually, mostly we use that term in India. If you go to Europe and say allopathy, I don't think they will recognize what you're talking about. Most people call it either medical medicine or modern medicine or something like that. Now, what we call allopathy, chemical medicine, existed in a different format before World War II and before even World War I. So the way they treated their patients was in a very crude form. So if you have a skin problem, or if you have congestion anywhere, then all they need to do was let out blood. And there were very strange methods used back then. So for example, if women are having flushes, hot flushes, they would make them inhale nitrates and things like that. So there were quite drastic measures used because they didn't have any medicine per se. They didn't have any anything to remediate the problem on hand, right? Homeopathy was founded by a medical doctor himself. The founder of homeopathy was a medical doctor. He was frustrated with that kind of practice. So he was an extraordinarily intelligent and a gifted genius. So he knew 11 languages. So he sat down to translate certain books in chemistry and in biochemistry. And during such a time when he was translating one such book, he came across an understanding which somehow gave him a sort of a eureka thing. And he decided that if this works like this, this could work like this. At the end of the day, experimentation is an application of wisdom, right? Correct. So he experimented upon himself. When he experimented upon himself, he saw something quite phenomenal happen. I won't go into the depth because that will take us a whole half an hour to discuss. But what I wanted to say was he was the one who did that experiment, and then he further experimented about more than 80 other remedies on himself, which are mainly from plant origins and all. And then several other people who came in touch with him, and they realized in such a simplistic manner, you can actually use the small doses and help people get better in a faster method, right? And so a lot of medical doctors actually converted to homeopathy, and they were practicing homeopathy in that period until antibiotics came along. And then there was standardization of medicine, and they said this cannot be standardized, so therefore we won't accept this. So they started shutting it down in the US. Before that, it actually came to India, first to Kolkata, and then it spread in India like wildfire, because Indians innately are open-minded, and they innately are open to trying things which agree with the body in the sense that it is from natural methods. And we also want to minimize chemical intake. When we didn't have any chemical intake, also we were all thriving, right? Correct. India as a civilization was thriving. So I suppose that is the reason why that, and Indian governments, Indian kings, and Indian the leaders then, they were all open about homeopathy, and that's how it gained a very strong foothold in India.
Yeah. So I remember my neighbor being a homeopathic doctor, an old man. He has to have these small sugar pills. And I thought homeopathy is sugar pills, to tell you frankly, when I was very young. And one day I saw him dropping medicines into that sugar pill. That's how I knew that he makes his own medicine. So homeopathy is factory made, or it is made by the doctor?
The pills and the liquid are made in a manufacturing unit. When it comes to the hand of the doctor, he can decide how much dose to make out of it and then give it to the patient.
So the dosage depends upon
there are standard doses. There are standard doses, and the potencies are standard. All we do is we just make it specifically for the patient in smaller quantities. Like I will decide the quantity I want to give you. Not here. Here I have to prescribe. But in India, what people can do is if you need one dose, they will give you one dose. If you need for a month, then they'll give you for a month, something like that.
Correct. Yeah. So there is a question coming to me because you said this. Is homeopathy is a slow working process? Is that a myth or is it a fact?
It's a very big myth. It's, I think, the
Hmm.
biggest myth that I'm setting out to dispel, actually, using my Instagram account. It can work extremely fast. Literally in 2 to 4 hours, sometimes we see improvements. Yeah.
Hmm.
And what we call slow is actually not slow, because in the entire process, it is creating changes. Okay. So if you say you're taking blood pressure medicine, how long do you take it for?
All my life.
Then is it slow or is it fast?
It's continuous.
So there is no speed to it, right?
Yeah, there is no speed to it. Yeah.
Same
There's
thing
no
with
cure, doctor says so.
Yeah, so it has to be, it's a condition that has to be managed, similar to PCOS.
Hmm.
PCOS also seems to stay almost your entire life where it is. Sometimes you may see less cysts, sometimes you may see a lot of cysts. Symptoms will all improve, patient will become fertile, in the sense patient is capable of conceiving. And maybe the hair growth in some people just goes away completely, in some it becomes less over time. But at the end of the day, conditions have to be managed. The whole
Hmm.
goal of treatment in any form of medicine is either relieving your symptoms or reducing your risks.
Hmm.
So with homeopathy, when you are working for symptom relief, I had last week a patient with severe tonsillitis. Okay, very red tonsils. They looked like 2 little strawberries in his throat. I gave a medicine. In 4 hours, the throat pain had reduced. The boy got up, wanted to eat and drink. Although I had told the mother, don't give him something solid to eat and drink, just liquid
Hmm.
food is right. So 4 hours. So when I'm working at symptom level, I find that it works extremely fast. When I'm working to reduce your risks, now when I'm working with a PCOS patient who I want her to become fertile, let's say she's not having a regular period cycle, then I need to work with her for a year to make sure that she remains fertile for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Right. Yesterday, I was speaking to a lady. She was told she's infertile because she said she was diagnosed with PCOS, and she said she was told that she's never going to conceive. And they did try a couple of times and they never conceived. And then she went to a homeopathic doctor who gave her some medicine. She said she doesn't remember the name or anything. This was back in India many years ago. Then 3 months later, she conceived and she had a healthy baby. And after that, she had 4 other conceptions. So I joked, I said, he must have given you a very strong medicine. The point is that when you're reducing the risks, it can take some time, but it will work definitely and surely, right? So we need to understand that what is the doctor doing? The doctor is not just giving you medicine for a month and asking you to come back for a follow-up. No, no, no. The doctor is actually working on reducing the risks. And when that happens in a span of 1 year or 2 years, it has worked faster than allopathy.
Correct.
Because
And
allopathy has told the patient, that you are infertile and you can't, you can't conceive. So then where is the speed? There is no speed. This is just a way of managing it in a better way. Yeah, I think in a shorter span of time.
Yeah. And you also very clearly told us that they are treating the symptoms, and you can also treat the symptoms very quickly. But you're talking about curing, or you're talking about a long-term relief. You're talking about for PCOS,
managing a disease.
Managing the disease and coming back, conceiving, because we're talking about PCOS. One of the things for younger women is when they have PCOS, whether they can conceive or not. And you answered us very clearly. Thank you so much for that answer. Even though I have a few audience questions in the sheet to ask, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the forum for the audience. They've already put some questions. I'll invite Anjali to, help the audience to ask the question. And once they have finished, if we still have 5 minutes or so, there are some burning questions in that sheet. I will come back and ask you.